Greetings and salutations. It is, Derek, this is an episode number that appeases both of us. Not for the reason you think.
Oh, well, I just thought of a reason why the number 94 is something that appeases me, but definitely not you.
94 to me, when I hear 94, now what do you think of?
I think of the greatest sports moment of my lifetime, and probably ever, because I'll never be the sports fan that I was when I was 11 years old in 1994.
Knicks going to the finals?
Yeah.
Okay.
My favorite sports moment of my life was the Knicks beating the Pacers and going to the finals.
Okay. So I would agree. That's what I was going to say is when I think of 94, I think of 94 Eastern Conference Finals. When the Pacers and this guy, Reggie Miller, broke through. 25 points in the fourth in Game 5, 39 in the game, the Spike Lee choke
Just an
incident.
incredible performance.
It was. And the whole series was fabulous. And for you, turned out great because the Knicks won. For me, as a lifelong Indiana resident, even though the Pacers didn't win the series, it was their breakthrough.
Yeah.
And that run, Orlando, Atlanta, New York was so magical for so many people here. Sure, they did not win the series, but they won the city, and that meant everything.
Yeah, it was the 95 Colts, right? You couldn't really be – sure, you could be upset that Aaron Bailey didn't catch it, or you could be upset at some of the officiating, like Ewing maybe should have fouled out on that final sequence in 94. But
7 times. Yeah.
But the fact that they were there and they got that close, you felt really good about that, right. I would think. That wasn't like a painful memory.
Did you hate the Pacers?
I ended up hating Reggie first, and then later on hating the Pacers.
Who was your second least favorite
Mark Jackson.
Pacer?
Yeah, Mark Jackson, no question, because he was the most mouthy, and I felt like it was a traitor thing because he was on the first Knicks team that I watched. Him, Gerald Wilkins, Johnny Newman, Charles Oakley, Patrick Ewing.
Was Trent Tucker there?
In the late 80s, yep. In the late 80s, those were the first Knicks teams that I watched, even though the Knicks were the ones that kind of gave up on him. Because he was in, if I remember, he was in the Charles Smith deal.
Well, they traded him, right?
Yeah, to the Clippers. And then he went to Indiana, and he was the key cog. I know Winning Time kind of mentions this, but he was kind of the attitude adjustment that the Pacers needed.
I always just felt like Mark Jackson was a lot more sizzle than he was steak.
Oh, I think that too, but I think
he thought he was the greatest player ever.
I think he brought that attitude, that confidence that maybe the rest of the Pacers, Reggie certainly didn't need it, but maybe the rest of that Pacers group needed.
Fair enough. Good afternoon, good morning, whatever time it might be when you are watching this. This is Query and Schultz here on the ISC Sports Network, episode 94. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you to Bailey & Wood, the presenting sponsor of Query and Schultz. Bailey & Wood, of course, BAWFG.com. Derek, talking about home lending and keeping your money right here with a great family business that is great about keeping their money right here in Indiana.
Yeah, rates have gone up, but still an opportunity to refinance, and especially with the housing market starting to maybe, I don't want to say cool down, but level off a little bit. If you're looking to sell your home or buy a home, get that pre-approval, all of it at BAWFG.com, 855-350-HOME. And they also have their golf outing coming up, which I believe I already committed both of us, so hopefully you're there too. August 11th. I know at least I'll be there.
Are we golfing?
No.
Good,
we're just up there shaking hands, kissing babies, and jumping on microphone for a little bit to say hi to everybody.
The microphone, especially now I'm heavier, that could hurt the microphones. They're expensive.
You can get some Spanx or something. You'll be fine.
Excuse me?
Spanx. Like the, I don't know how to explain them. They're Spanx. SPANX.
Is that a male girdle?
It is, essentially. They're more popular with female, but now they're trending into a male market now, so men can buy Spanx.
I was just on a flight.
I've never needed them.
Antron Brown.
Yeah.
The
NHRA.
great NHRA guy. I was just on a flight. He was sitting in the seat right in front of me, and he had on a Lululemon baseball hat.
Nice.
I've not seen those. Have you seen those?
No, I have not.
Yeah, it's like
those guys always, I'm assuming that's a sponsor. Those guys take care of their sponsors like no one else.
He had a Matco Tools backpack, the whole deal. Yeah, really nice
You
guy.
always see the NHRA guys in like
really nice guy.
Stuff.
And by the way, U.S. Nationals, he told me he is going to get he's running the U.S. Nationals, so it'll be fun to see him out there. It's a great thing.
Great event.
Lot to talk about, Derek. Let's begin with Pacers Summer League. Only 2 games so far. We're taping this on Monday. The big chatter is about who the Pacers may be trying to acquire. But before that, let's get into Summer League, your impressions of those that we have seen so far.
Oh, I think they look good. The problem with Summer League is that you have to take the results with a big grain of salt.
Right.
I think it's one of those things where if you look good, it doesn't really matter. If you look bad, then you say, what's up here? Because everyone looks good. Chet Holmgren looks great. Jaden Ivey looks great. Mathurin looks great. Keegan Murray looks great.
Keegan Murray looks really
Does
good.
anybody look? I mean, have you seen anybody on Twitter be like, yeah, he's really struggling out there in Vegas? Nobody's struggling. Everybody looks great. But what I'm encouraged by, Jake, is that a lot of times when you're drafting like the Pacers are, this is fairly unprecedented, at least in the last 3 decades for them. A lot of times you've got somebody who's really raw, right? That needs some time to kind of grow and develop. And while there obviously is always a sense of rawness with a 20-year-old, Mathurin looks like he's ready to come in and play now.
Right.
And that's, I think, what you want if you're the Pacers, because there's a different mindset there than there is with most of these teams that are willing to just kind of sit around and suck. The Pacers don't want to do that. They want to be competitive right away, even knowing that this isn't going to be a playoff team or anything like that coming up here in 2022-23. So I'm impressed by Mathurin's already polish. Not saying that there isn't room for improvement. Of course there is, but I think there's a lot of polish there.
Yeah, and he's got a little bit of swagger about him, right? Which
Yeah.
I think is a good thing. But when you look at the Pacers roster, and let's just say for the sake of argument, Summer League does not obviously the regular season make, but let's assume that Benedict Mathurin is indeed a guy that's going to be able to play right away. They have a really good, already intriguing young nucleus of Tyrese Halliburton, Chris Duarte, Benedict Mathurin, Isaiah Jackson, who I love. I mean, I'm on board with Isaiah Jackson. And then you have next year 3 picks in the first round because you have Cleveland still that deferred from this year.
If it conveys. Yep.
I would assume they're not going to fall back into the lottery again.
No,
right?
I think that'll be a playoff team.
You have Boston's first rounder and then your own. I think they could very easily take one of those two, and they could either use both of those picks to try to move up for a single pick in like the teens, or they could use one of those as a part of a trade, which could be happening. And again, we're taping this on Monday, so it's entirely possible something happens in the next 24 to 48 hours. But signs are pointing more and more towards Deandre Ayton of Phoenix, who, by the way, I did confirm this by looking it up. If he were to come to Indiana, DeAndre Ayton in Indiana's NBA history would be the first ever number 1 overall pick to play for the Pacers at any point.
There's only one other team, and I'm forgetting who's the other team. There are 2 NBA teams that have not had a number 1 overall pick ever play for them. I'm trying to think of who that other one was. I forgot when I looked this up. I looked this up a couple of months ago, but I forgot when I looked it up. But
Atlanta.
It's tough.
No, Joe
Dwight
Smith
Howard.
played there.
Yeah, Dwight Howard played in Atlanta.
Well, we can do this all day, right?
Yeah.
It's fun.
Well, no, I don't want to derail the show. We're off to a good start here.
Dallas?
I don't think Dallas has ever had a number 1 pick, but have they had a number 1 pick play for them? That's the thing. It's not just have you had one. We know the Pacers haven't had a number 1 pick. It's have you had a number 1 pick play for you at any point in their career? Joe Smith played for 27 of the 30 NBA
You're right.
teams,
I mean, that's the challenge, right?
So it's tough. It's tough to find that guy.
Have the Grizzlies had a number 1 play for them?
Look, I'll look it up. I'll look it up here. I'm sure that they have, but I'll look it up.
Who would it be? Did Joe Smith play for the Grizzlies?
What I'm confused by is, and I even asked, Tony East, you have him on your radio show, right? He's like the Pacers capologist. And I asked him earlier this week, I said, hey, I keep hearing people talk about Ayton and the Pacers giving something up. Why would they do that? And he said, yeah, I'm kind of confused about that as well, because the Pacers they don't have a max slot now, but they could very easily get a max slot. All they would have to do is get rid of Goga, and they'd have max money, so they could sign Ayton outright. So if I'm the Pacers and I know the Suns don't want to max Ayton, why don't I just call their bluff? Why don't I just sign Ayton to the offer sheet and say, okay, you want to keep him? Match. And then if the Suns match, then sure, then I'll facilitate a sign and trade. But why would I facilitate a sign and trade?
Well,
why would I give up Turner and a pick if the Suns don't want him and I can sign him outright?
Because, okay, great. Now, here's the Pacers, the intriguing question about the Pacers. One would think, Derek, because they have all this salary cap, right? And you can sign them outright to a deal.
If Phoenix doesn't match. Sorry, I want to make sure that we get restricted.
He's a restricted free agent,
yeah.
meaning Phoenix can match whatever they offer. If the Pacers make an offer to him and they don't have to give anything up, then maybe that hamstrings them because they have other ideas in mind. So in other words, sending Turner to him or sending Turner out for him, maybe that frees up more money because they feel there's still another piece they need to get, or maybe they feel that sending Turner for Ayton back gives them flexibility because of the names that I just mentioned, Mathurin, Halliburton, Jackson, Duarte, Stick Smith for that matter. All of those guys are going to be coming up on new deals around the same time, and you want to give yourself as much flexibility, room around it as possible.
Yeah, it's a lot of money because the max deal for Ayton would pay him $30 million next year, and that that's a lot more than the Pacers are used to paying for guys. But just kind of my feeling, maybe they just say, you know what, we're moving on from Miles. Let's just facilitate. Let's make sure that we get this deal done, and just get it done. Because at that point, then maybe the Suns definitely wouldn't match if that's the guy that you really want. But Ayton doesn't necessarily strike me as a guy that's really coveted out there because he kind of falls – he's a tweener. Ayton is good. He's not great.
Right.
He's a top 5, 6 center in the league, in a league where you don't need a top 5 or 6 center. So –
I'd agree with that.
It's a little bit of a tough spot. He'll be 24 later
I'm not
this
sold
month.
on it. I would not do it personally.
I kind of like Turner. I wouldn't just throw him in to throw him in. Like, I'm not shut off to the idea of them getting late Ayton. I think he could be an awesome lob threat. And, sometimes guys, what happens, Jake, is that they feel like they're wronged by their previous team. And Ayton obviously feels wronged by Phoenix. He feels like he's not being used to his full potential. And then they take off somewhere else. And so I'm not shut off to that idea, but with the money that you would have to commit and committing any assets at all, I mean, if it's Turner and a first rounder, forget it. There's no way I'm doing that deal. I'm taking the risk of just trying to put him on the offer sheet and dare Phoenix to match it.
Let me run something crazy by you. Indiana knows that they may be 2 years away. They know that they have a fan base that is tired of being 7th, 6th in the East and not winning a playoff series. They know that they have to look at other teams in the East to find out, as their elevator is going up and others are coming down, who they're going to be able to surpass or get past in rounds to advance, etc. Kevin Durant has requested a trade out of Brooklyn. The Nets are a little bit handcuffed as to how much they can do because who wants to take on that contract? Phoenix is a team interested in taking on Kevin Durant, but they have to free up money. Indiana sees Deandre Ayton as a player they can pluck out of Phoenix, which allows Phoenix to then have the cap space to make a trade for Kevin Durant, possibly a trade that would require a Miles Turner involvement if they did a sign-and-trade deal. But Indiana wins because not only did they get Deandre Ayton, but they facilitate for Kevin Durant to be shipped out of Brooklyn, which dissolves another team in the East that they could be passing this way on the elevators.
I mean, sure. Yeah, I guess that you can argue that you can't argue it. It's fact. You're right. That would be an advantage and an advantageous part of the deal. But, Jake, and I think you agree with this, anything the Pacers do has to be what's in our best interests for this team. Is Ayton part of a core that we can see growing into a championship core? Because if the answer to that is yes, then do the deal. If the answer to that is no, then you don't do anything with Ayton.
It would be if the Pacers made a move that landed them a former number 1 overall pick and in the same time freed up space to get rid of Miles Turner and caused the dissolve of an Eastern Conference, not rival per se, but another team within the Eastern Conference. That, my friends, is the definition of a sage move, right?
It is.
It's the definition of it, which takes us to, by the way, our WGU Indiana Sage Move of the Week. Derek is highly impressed with that transition.
That was really good.
Thank you. I've done this before.
You don't rank 10 basically in any category. Transitions, you're a 10.
Really?
Yeah. You're like 6s and 7s, but transitions, you're a 10.
Wow, you've never paid me a compliment before.
I'm 9 in most categories.
Yeah, okay.
10 in a few.
Where are you at 10?
Clutch factor.
You drive a stick?
No, like clutch. Like I come through in the clutch. On the court, in life, I'm just clutch.
Okay.
Yep.
Regardless. Our Sage Move of the Week is brought to you by WGU Indiana, which, by the way, is Indiana's largest online accredited university. They even have a class on not only clutches, but transitions. If you are transitioning into the next phase of life, whatever that might be, maybe you're going back to school for a completion of a degree that you set out and you left those college credits out there. Maybe you're looking for a new career or a transition of career. WGU is the place for you. Indiana's largest online accredited university allows you to work on your schedule to complete that certification, get that new degree. Ambition never rests, and that's why WGU is the option for Indiana and its secondary education. They bring us each and every week. Sage the Owl, he is a cool-looking fella.
I don't want to look at him.
That eye is awesome.
Yeah, I don't want to look at it.
Sage the Owl, of course, ambition never rests, head on a swivel, always looking around the corner. That's what you can be doing with WGU Indiana. Derek, our nominee is?
Sage move for this guy. Maybe not as much of a sage move for his team. I shouldn't say that because he's beloved there. And I like the fact that he wanted to stay, even though he's being paid a boatload of money to stay. But did you see the 2-year extension tacked on to the existing Damian Lillard deal?
How about this?
2 years, $122 million.
$61 million.
You know what we're coming close to is somebody making $100 million a year. I'm serious.
Yeah.
That's what we're coming close to. I would say we're 5 or 6 years away from that. Do you remember, off the top of your head, the first time that somebody made $100 million?
Glenn Robinson was rumored to be the first $100 million player.
I remember.
I don't know if he got it, but that was the.
Do you remember the pitcher named Kevin Brown?
Yes. Yeah, for the Dodgers.
He signed, if I'm not mistaken, he signed a 7-year, $100 million deal. And this was like 1997 maybe. And it was like mind-boggling. Like, oh my God, like $100 million. Yeah. Or Kevin Garnett's first contract extension, which I think was 123, and paid him, 10-something million a year. And now it's like, a dude's making, James Harden's making $47 million. And you're like, yeah, okay. Cool.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, Dame making 60 in his final year.
He's going to make $733,000 a game.
Lillard will have made, by the end of this deal, it runs through 2027. He turns 32 this week, so this runs through his 37th birthday. He'll have made $450 million. So a half bill.
He's a heck of a player, I'll say that. But is he, I
think he's,
is
unfortunately,
that sustainable in Portland?
I hope that this isn't the case, but I think he's going to end up being like in that Dominique Wilkins
totally agree
sort of group where he had a bunch of teams that were good and just never really got anywhere.
Dominique Wilkins, Allen Iverson.
Well, Allen Iverson,
good, right?
Allen Iverson was a better player than Dominique.
Yeah, no, you're right.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of guards, like really good guards that were nice players, but not.
So many of them won championships. Or at least got to the finals.
Right.
If you're making a list of guys that didn't even get to the finals, that's a tough list.
Like, he's a great player, there's no doubt.
Yeah, but Portland, you feel for him because you felt like 2019 or whatever year that was, they went to the West Finals like, oh, maybe this is the breakthrough, right. And then they've just backpedaled.
Have you been to Portland?
Never. I've never been to the Pacific Northwest.
It's a great logo, their logo.
I love it. Yeah, I always and I really like those, like Kevin Duckworth, Jerome Kersey, Drexler, Terry Porter.
My roommate in college at IU, kind of a potluck type roommate, Clayton Majors, Lincoln High School, Portland, Oregon. He was a huge Blazers fan.
They were in it every year, and they made the finals a couple of times. And I think at that time,
this game, that's all you need to do, right, Jordan?
Once the Lakers started fading, clearly the winner of the East was most years going to win it all because most of the years it was the bad boy Pistons or Jordan's Bulls, but those Blazers teams were really good around that time. Yeah.
We got more to get to, right?
We do. We're actually going to talk some Colts next. We haven't talked Colts on the show really in the last couple of weeks. We've kind of taken a break. Some season predictions for Jonathan Taylor and why you might want to tap the brakes a little bit based on historical precedent.
Okay.
We'll talk about that when we come back. It's Query and Schultz.
Clutch. Is that going to hurt
Episode
your clutch?
94, Clutch, right here.
Yeah, okay.
ISC Sports Network.
Hey, I'm Jeff Saturday, and my favorite thing when I was a professional football player was Indiana. The Hoosier State always made me feel like family. That's why I trust Indiana's hometown mortgage lender, Bailey & Wood. This family-owned company not only gives back to the communities they serve, but also with their 5-star customer service, they can close on your dream home in days, not weeks. So remember, Indiana, you can always get your mortgages at a snap with Bailey & Wood.
Hey, Jeff, how does this look? Yay!
Not bad, bud, but let's stick to mortgages.
Welcome back. Bailey & Wood Mortgage Lender presents Query and Schultz here on ISC Sports Network. Thanks so much for being with us, Jake.
We are in the Lou
Derek
Malnati
Schultz.
studio, Derek.
I think that we're going to talk about Lou's. They've got an exciting event coming up here. Actually, 2 events this month that I want to mention coming up later this month. I think I'm going to start having Alan or Jordan or whoever's back there roll tape on our commercial conversations.
No, I'd rather
and
not.
then make that like a 6-part podcast series. like Quarian Schultz, like behind the music.
It's
but
a lot
Quarian
of dead
Schultz.
air.
Well, it's a lot of that too, but the conversations that we do have, I'm like, we should probably tape this.
You just told me about an intestinal issue you were struggling with.
Well, we were just talking about getting the free COVID test from Uncle Sam. I just got like an email confirmation about it. And neither of us think that, well, you don't think you've ever had COVID. I've never tested positive.
I had COVID.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah.
See, I didn't know that.
Right after Christmas.
I don't think, well, I've never tested positive, and I'm not sure that I've had it, but February of 2020, I had like a weird fever where I had like chills, and I never have chills, where I was like wrapped in a blanket.
Right.
And it was leaking out in the basement. Sorry, I'm trying to put that like eloquently, like not in a gross way. Like I had the runs, a little bit. I don't want to say diarrhea. Diarrhea is like such a weird word to say on the show, but I usually don't have that. So I had. See, when you make that reaction, then that makes it sound like immature. Can we get that in? We'll get that in post now. Like, let's be mature about this. 3, 2, 1. So I had chills and like a fever, and I had the squirts a little bit.
What are we doing here? What grade are you in?
I tried with a straight face.
You couldn't even say it without laughing.
I tried with a straight face, yeah.
Now, are you going to want to do that in post?
No, I hate breaking character. So we'll just leave that where it is. We'll just leave that one where it is.
I was gone over the weekend.
I just took a home run swing. I went for it there, and I swung and missed.
I had to get up early. I didn't sleep well. I woke up. I enjoy doing this show, and I was excited about it. And then we come in, and we're supposed to. And you're talking about that. You got on your Granimal shirt.
It's why I thought that I had
like
COVID.
First grade terminology.
It's symptoms that I never have, so it was a weird, and I was kind of down for the count for a couple days.
Okay. You had mentioned something about Jonathan Taylor. Speaking of runs.
Yeah. Well, he is, and you don't play fantasy football. I retired a couple of years ago. He's generally viewed as the consensus number one. Fantasy.
Well, he or Derrick Henry, right?
Yeah, but because of the health, I think you especially would lean Taylor there. And there's been some talk about, okay, what do you possibly do as an encore? Because here's a guy that ran for 1,800 yards last year. He set all kinds of Colts franchise records, including most yards in a game. What was it, 253 or whatever he ended up having? And so can he become the 9th guy? There's only been 8 that have gone over 2,000 yards. The last, of course, being Henry. But then you have to go.
See if I can list these, Derek.
Okay, you have to go back a ways. There are a couple names that I had completely forgotten about.
Do you have the list in front of you?
Yeah, I can bring it up here.
Now, if there's a player that did it twice, does that count as 2 different?
I don't think anybody's ever done it twice.
Okay. This is in the professional ranks?
Yes, this is just NFL. So this isn't like the CFL, like Warren Moon stat thing. These are all NFL guys.
Ooh, boy,
how many? I think the first 4 are really easy to name, and then you really have to think about the rest.
Boy, how many are there total?
8.
Well, I got 5.
I mean, the first one is obvious.
Well, O.J. Simpson.
Yeah, everybody knows that O.J. was the first one to do it. And then the second one, because he set the all-time record, which still stands.
Oh, Dickerson.
Yeah.
Yeah, I should have known that. Okay, Chris Johnson.
Yes, 2009. That would be one in the you have to think about category.
Jamal Lewis.
Oh, okay. See, I didn't know you were going to name the ones that people don't remember right away. I thought you. How'd you know Jamal Lewis?
I don't know.
How'd you know that? Where'd you get that from?
I watch football.
Did you know that I was going to do this segment?
No, I remember Jamal Lewis having a 2,000-yard season.
Okay.
Derrick Henry.
Ray, did you tell him that?
Derrick Henry.
Yeah. Okay. Derrick Henry's one. Yeah.
Terrell Davis.
Yeah.
So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now see, I'm kind of give me the. I don't know that I can name
one guy
him.
won MVP. He's the most recent since Derrick Henry.
Oh, Barry Sanders?
Barry Sanders is one. And the last one is one of really the greatest running back of this era, who will be a Hall of Famer. Has played now for multiple teams.
Adrian Peterson?
Yeah. 2012 when he won MVP, Adrian Peterson went over 2,000.
See, I don't recall that one.
I only know that because a lot of people felt like Peyton should have won MVP because that was the first year in Denver. And the only reason that he didn't was because Peterson went for 2,000 yards and had this unbelievable season.
Right. He was in his prime.
I'm
he was
impressed.
A great player.
That's really good work. Like, I think the reason that I remember Chris Johnson was because remember CJ 2K?
Right,
they called him that for a while.
And his
But Jamal Lewis, I don't remember that at all.
See, I don't know why I do remember that.
I was in
pretty
college.
easily.
Like, that would have been like my peak NFL viewing.
I mean, I was covering those teams, right?
Yeah.
So
Okay. 2003 Jamal Lewis. I do not remember that.
yeah.
I mean, that's definitely one of these things. I guess you could say Chris Johnson. Chris Johnson
was a major flash in the pan, man.
But one of these things is not like the other. I mean, you're talking about some of the greatest that ever played the position that are on
You know,
this
I mean,
list.
running back, and this is where, when it comes to Jonathan Taylor, going back to that, I think Jonathan Taylor is going to be an outstanding player for a long time for the Colts. But, Derek, it's been 25 years since a player led the league in rushing and won a Super Bowl in the same season. It's only happened a handful of times. It's very rare. Typically, the guy that leads the league in rushing is on a team that, and then maybe go to a wild card.
Yeah.
Terrell Davis did it in terms of winning a Super Bowl. Emmitt Smith did it. But those weren't like breakaway home run hitting backs. The NFL today is so passer friendly that I just don't know that having a dynamic back like that is the recipe. But you also look at those names we just mentioned. Jamal Lewis, Chris Johnson, there are two of them right there. And for that matter, Terrell Davis. Then you look at other players that we've seen that had monster years or windows. Sean Alexander.
Yeah.
Red hot for 2 years. Priest Holmes.
Oh, wow, that's a good one. Yeah.
Larry Johnson.
Yeah, LJ, who kind of went crazy.
Great players, but the window is short. Now, Jonathan Taylor, one would think, Derek, is going to have a longer window. But if he is putting up those kinds of numbers, is that a recipe for winning?
Yeah, you probably, if you're a Colts fan, you probably don't want Jonathan Taylor to rush for over 2,000 yards because that probably means that something went wrong.
Right.
Unless Matt Ryan is going to, I don't even know of a scenario that's positive for Matt Ryan in which Jonathan Taylor rushes for 2,000 yards. I mean, if the Colts have an historically great offense, then I guess sure. But I'm under the impression, Jake, that the offense is going to get a lot better and at least a lot more consistent passing the football this year. So,
I think they certainly hope that,
gun
right?
to my head, if you were to give me the over-under on Jonathan Taylor rushing yards this year, I wouldn't put it at 1,800. I'd put it at 1,500 probably.
Yeah. Yeah, they're going to pass the ball more, right?
Yeah.
And they're also going to use Nyheim Hines more, right?
Yards. Yes. And I think they're going to use Nyheim Hines more as a receiver.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
Out of the backfield, though, probably.
Yeah, for sure.
Now, every year I pick a guy that becomes my guy, and I'm like, there he is, like tight end out of Virginia.
Woods, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
I believe it's Jelani Woods.
The big boy. Okay.
It's gonna, by the end of the year,
Rookie year?
he's going to make impact.
Yeah.
Going to make impact.
I'm really hoping it's going to be Paris, but I have zero confidence that it's going to be Paris Campbell.
A lot of people are in your boat, right?
Yeah, I'm fully in I'll believe it when I see it mode.
Okay.
Because the talent is clearly there. Like, you watch him without pads, and you're like, oh, my God. Like, this guy could be really good.
He was in that knockout game with me at the Pacer game.
Oh, was he?
Mm-hmm.
How'd he do? How did you do? We talked about that on the show, and then we never reported back on
I still
that.
don't really understand what we were doing.
Oh, that's right, because you've never played knockout because you're a communist.
There were, I think, 13 or 14 of us, and I made it to the final three.
Oh, wow.
Denary, was Fred
Denari's
Jones.
jump shot's pretty wet. Well, Denary was a national champion college basketball player, too.
Wet.
And he does that free throw, that counted for cat.
We went at one point.
He lights it up.
At one point, it was hard to do because it got down to Fred Jones, Denary, and myself.
Yeah.
And Paris Campbell, I think, was in the final four.
You should have let a former NBAer in there.
Yeah, I can't remember, to be honest with you, and I'm being totally truthful. I can't remember if I was third and Campbell was fourth, or Campbell was third and I was fourth.
Who knocked you out? Do you remember? Freddie?
I can't remember. I remember this.
I know you're getting old.
We went on a streak where each of us, thank you, each of us hit 5 free throws in a row. So it became.
Oh, it was free throw line.
Well, yeah, we started at the free throw line.
Oh.
So we each hit 5 in a row, and it was so then it became confusing just to know what is going on.
Yeah.
It was just.
You got to do 3-point line. That's how we did it.
I think actually they eventually moved us back to 3-point line.
Yeah, we started there in Connecticut, but I know a different kind of threshold for basketball.
I did hit an NBA 3. I shot a free throw that caromed off to the side. And I had to track it down, and Denary was behind me. Yeah. So that means that I had to hit before Denary.
Gotcha.
So I had no time, and I pulled up corner, splash.
Yeah, it happened. I mean, and this is really rare for me because usually I intend for it. I've accidentally hit 3-pointers sometimes too, where you're just so good at it that you just kind of toss it up.
You have
so
the
I know
ugliest,
this was like a desperation.
You have the
3.
ugliest shooting form in the history of shooting.
You just had like a desperation.
Let me see your
3,
shooting
so you just
form.
toss it up. I don't want people to see it because I don't want people to mimic
Because it's
it.
ridiculous?
No, I don't want people to steal it.
You have
from
no
me.
teacup.
It's a patented
Cookie
thing.
jar, whatever you call it.
Look,
right?
this is the thing. Everybody in Indiana gets all stuffy about it. Who cares what my form is if it's crazy effective? Who cares? Why does the process matter if the result is soaking wet? And that's the jump shot. Get your head out of the gutter.
No, I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I've never heard.
Okay.
What is
your
this
eyes
wet?
popped out of your head.
That's
there.
the second time you've said wet.
My jump shot is wet, like splash.
Oh.
Yeah. It's like tossing orange balls into the Pacific Ocean for me.
Okay.
Like it just comes natural. A lot of the other things, like I'm not necessarily
The only problem,
a great
Dick, here's the
ball
problem.
handler. I'm not super athletic, but my jump shot is wet.
The problem with you, so growing up, your shooting was like throwing it into the Pacific Ocean, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You grew up on the Atlantic.
Well, any ocean.
It's a bit of a problem.
Indian Ocean, Arctic Ocean.
Okay, sure.
Any of those oceans there.
Okay.
Thanks to our friends at Lou Malnati's Pizzeria.
Listen, they've got a great event coming up, and I love
They
this.
got a couple of big events coming up here.
One of these, man, I mean, I read Derek about the event,
Yeah.
and I mean, it was, honestly, like, it made me sad and made me happy at the same time.
It's kind of emotional, right?
It is,
Where you
it
find
is.
this little rescue for
It is.
blind and deaf animals, but that's exactly what they're doing at Lou Malnati's in Broad Ripple in partnership with Metazoa, one of Shannon's favorites. And Pink Heart Rescue is what we're talking about here. The pet rescue, Pink Heart Rescue, Thursday, July 21st. So a week from, we're taping this right now on Monday, a week from this coming Thursday, Lou Malnati's
Just
in
remember
Broad
this
Ripple.
when you're thinking of basketball games, right? 21.
There you go.
21.
We were just talking about that.
7/21. July 21st.
20% of sales
Wow.
from Lou's in Broad Ripple go to the Pink Heart Rescue from every order that mentions Metazoa or Pink Heart Rescue. So make sure, get those in your head. Metazoa Brewing, Pink Heart Rescue, July 21st, Lou Malnati's Broad Ripple.
Okay. And Pink Heart Rescue is a rescue outlet for just dogs or dogs and cats? It's just dogs, right?
Blind and deaf dogs, yes.
Blind and deaf dogs in terms of especially senior dogs, helping them out, getting their, getting them treated, getting them their forever homes, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
I mean, what a sweetheart of a place.
You can
right?
follow them on Instagram at Pink Heart Rescue, and
man.
it's really sweet. Yeah, the animals that are on there. I mean, there's always like sort of a rescue animals to me have like a gentle soul.
Of course.
And when they're also blind and deaf, it just makes it even more like.
Yeah. And they know
you
they're
just
being
want to
rescued.
adopt all
I mean,
of them, right?
totally.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's so sweet. Order.loumalnati's.com. Busy month of July for our friends at Malnati's because they have Pizza Run Indy as well. Very last day of the month, Sunday, July 31st. And that's a 5K run walk. And it portion of the proceeds go to Gleaners Food Bank. So our friends at Lou Malnati's not only want to be part of our community here in Central Indiana since they entered a couple of months ago, but they want to do the right thing and help all of these causes that you and I are passionate about as well. So credit to them for that. Order.loumalnati's.com.
And you're talking about the best pizza you're going to get, right?
As well. Yeah, we talk about the Broad Ripple one a lot, but 4 other locations, Greenwood, West 86th Street, and then up in Carmel, too.
Okay. And again, tomatoes the size of this right here with your absolutely fabulous buttercrust deep dish Chicago-style pizza.
Yum.
Perfect. And helping out Pink Hearts, which is fabulous.
We have an update on the Hot Query and Schultz sales, which we'll talk about. Also, would you buy a house
I know who's leading that.
or live in a house that used to be a basketball gym? In
kinda
Indiana, you'll have that opportunity. And we'll talk about that a week
Only in Indiana, right?
Query and Schultz.
Why not Indiana?
ISC Sports Network.
Hey, I'm Jeff Saturday, and my favorite thing when I was a professional football player was Indiana. The Hoosier State always made me feel like family. That's why I trust Indiana's hometown mortgage lender, Bailey & Wood. This family-owned company not only gives back to the communities they serve, but also with their 5-star customer service, they can close on your dream home in days, not weeks. So remember, Indiana, you can always get your mortgages at a snap with Bailey & Wood.
Hey, Jeff, how does this look? Yay!
Not bad, bud, but let's stick to mortgages.
Welcome back. It's Bailey & Wood presents Query and Schultz, ISC Sports Network. Thanks to Alan Hughes and Greg Rakestraw on the other side of the glass for doing all that they do.
Derek, people can't see the glass.
Oh, well, I just say that. It's like on our radio show, I would say.
Behind the curtain.
Then again, I was always behind the glass.
Backstage.
And you were in the roomy studio.
Off stage.
Jake's room that you were in for that radio show was probably 4 times the size of the room that I was in. I was in like a broom closet for a mouse. And that's where I was for 8.5 years, slaving away, answering phones, running the boards, playing the music.
Remember they told us they were getting a call screener for us?
Yeah. Yeah. I remember. I don't know if it's that funny. We got hired. They said, "Oh, it's just the first week. You already know how to run the board." And I'm all excited, so I'm like, "Sure, yeah, I know how to run this board." 8.5 years, man.
I remember the first week we did that show, like the second day, right at 3 o'clock, you took it out of the break. You're like, "Hey, I'm Derek Schultz," and I'm like, "What are we doing here?"
Yeah. I remember sometimes I would be on the phone. You know, some of those callers.
They want to tell.
I loved our listeners. I really, and I appreciate you guys watching. I appreciate you guys. I'm glad that you can't call into the show, to be totally honest with you. But I appreciate all of you guys. So let me preface by saying that. But my
yeah,
God,
I appreciate you, but I'm glad you're not part of it.
We'd have
That's
people
nice.
that want to tell us like their whole life story. Like one guy would call and just tell me about his day. Yeah, you know, I went to Kroger's earlier. Okay, man, what do you want to talk about? Oh, I don't know. What are you guys talking about? Aren't you listening to the show? What do you mean? What are we talking about? You just like called to see how my day was? It was, you know, I was just like, oh my God.
And you're just talking away.
Yeah. And so sometimes, you know, we'd have so much weird stuff happening. Like we had somebody call one time that was like legitimately like depressed and wanted to hurt himself. And then it was like, you know, I was trying to make sure it wasn't like a prank call, that it was serious.
I remember that.
It was just like sometimes on the phone, you know, we talk about recording our commercial breaks. We should have recorded all of the off-air phone conversations that went on from the WNDE call screen studio. Because, man.
Yeah. That was something for sure.
It was rough. A spacious 11,000 square feet, single-family home in, have you ever heard of Wilkinson, Indiana?
Yeah, what county is that?
Apparently, it's only 8 miles from Knightstown and the Hoosier Gym.
Okay.
So it must be over in that,
like the Newcastle, Henry County area?
Over there. Yeah, okay. The latest, Hancock County. So it's technically Hancock County. Thanks to Greg, our graphics operator. He usually helps us out so I can stare down here at the monitor and see it. It's half house, half basketball court. Listed for $299. The house is the former.
Actually not bad, right?
Wilkinson. I mean, for out in rural Indiana, that's might be a little bit pricey, but it's 11,000 square feet. My Lord, that's like quadruple the size of my house, at least. Wilkinson High School gym built in 1950. Its commercial status has been rezoned to residential, so the home was converted 4 bedrooms, 3 baths, a great room,
and a locker room,
a spacious kitchen, a playroom, and much more. The listing from FC Tucker says, this is an honest-to-goodness treat, a rare opportunity for your very own high school gym. It's already been shown 20 times. It has 3 offers. There is a sale pending. So chances are by the time you see this, you're not going to be able to buy.
But here's the thing, Derek. Okay, I stayed over the weekend. I was in New York City. Stayed at a place called the Maritime Hotel, which was super cool. Like, that's a funny thing about New York. It was in Chelsea.
Was it a boutique hotel?
Yes.
Yeah.
So, like, you would never know it's there, right?
Yeah.
You're walking past it. So it was a boutique hotel that the theme is that, like, you're in a cruise ship.
Yeah.
So the rooms, the windows were circles. That is because the building was originally like the naval whatever. The building, so first off, the shower in this, like Chateau Kitchen could do something like this. The showers were rain showers.
Oh, wow.
Which were awesome.
Yeah, rich people showers.
Like, it was the most amazing shower.
Cool.
I literally, 45 minutes I was in the shower.
Yeah.
And I showered 3 times a day because it's New York. So on Saturday night this weekend, I'm in this hotel, and I thought it was super cool, but the room was small because it's boutique-y. And I'm looking up the history of the hotel, and it turns out that the hotel, it says, many believe the hotel is haunted because the original building was the Covenant House for, like, orphaned children. And so oftentimes people report hearing children playing and laughing, but only on the 8th floor. Well, I was in room 801. And at one point I was like, I did
So
hear.
you just sat in your hallway all night, right?
This was like
Trying
at
to
1
hear
o'clock
stuff?
in the morning.
Yeah, of course.
And then, of course, all of a sudden I'm like, oh, my gosh, I hear stuff, right?
Yeah.
It's totally freaking me out. Doesn't it seem like a house that is a high school gym from the 50s would have some spirits in it?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. I didn't think about it.
Now, is the gym still intact with the goals up and everything?
The goals aren't up, but the hardwoods are. I didn't see maybe the photos that I saw. Dana Bembo, the star, our friend, had the article. And I didn't see actual hoops. I just saw the hardwood floors.
Man,
maybe they left the goals up.
Wouldn't you want to go out and play some one-on-one?
Yeah, I think you would.
How good a shooter would you be if you lived in a house with a gym in it?
Oh, I'm already an amazing shooter, so it was kind of not relevant to me. But yeah, for somebody that maybe doesn't have as wet of a jump shot, sure, to make their jump shot a little more drippy.
Who would win a game of horse between two of us?
Oh, come on, man. Horse? That's all shooting, so of course it'd be me. Now, 21 would be a little bit tougher because you'd have the rebounding edge, even though I can box out like nobody else.
Yeah, okay. Right.
I have a very strong this is weird because we were just talking about the COVID symptoms as well, and now we're going down this road again. I'm strong buttocks for boxing people out. Like, I don't even have to flex it right now. Like, it's rock solid. Okay. Like, you could bounce a quarter off of this if you really wanted to.
It is time for Love That Play. If you were to buy an 11,000 square foot house with a basketball goal in it, you're probably thinking to yourself, how exactly would I regulate the temperature in there? Not an issue if you have Love Heating and Air, because love-hvac.com, one of the specialties actually, larger, older homes, Love Heating and Air. I know that's one of the areas that they really stand out, along with customer service, great product, knowledge of that product, and over 100 years of business right here in Central Indiana, a family-owned business with all the values you expect from a family-owned business and a commitment to making you feel like family. That's right, 24-hour on-call maintenance, for example, with their customer service. Love-hvac.com is their website, or at LoveHeatIndy on Twitter. And, of course, 317-353-2141 is their telephone number. They bring us each and every week our Love That Play, the favorite play of the weekend. Derek, your nominee is?
Another athlete just like me with firm buttocks. Novak Djokovic does it again with another Wimbledon win.
How would you know the firmness of his glutes?
Well, you can see, especially tennis, male and female tennis, you can see it because of the shorts, how muscular the legs are. I mean, that's a front shot there. But, I mean, look at, the calves and all of that. My calves look like that. My calves are very
Chris and John Love were tennis players at North Central High School, as a matter of fact. Thank you very much. We appreciate that.
Okay,
and they were diehard Wimbledon fans. I watched a lot of Wimbledon as a kid with the Loves. But it was exciting to watch Djokovic win his 21st Grand Slam. That puts him – we're going to see how long Derek can hold his leg up before they actually show the shot of it.
with my hands because I need the director to help me here.
Do you not have strong hamstrings? Strong hamstrings would take care of that.
See? Look at that. Just like Djokovic.
Yeah, okay.
See, I'll twist them a little bit so you can see kind of the definition of the back.
Derek, lost. Kevin Bowen pointed this out this morning. I did not know this, but this is interesting. It's the first time in like 30 years that somebody has won Wimbledon or a major after losing the first set in the quarterfinal, semifinal, and final.
Yeah, he dropped the first two sets in the quarters, I think. Or that might have been the semis. I don't remember. But he came back and – the guy's just unbelievable.
All those, listen, I mean, Nadal, Federer, it's a great era.
He now trails Federer by 1 for Wimbledon titles, trails Rafa by 1 for overall Grand Slams, but he's just 35. The problem for him is that he got kicked out basically for the Aussie, which he dominates, and was the defending champ and has won 9 times. So he misses the Aussie, and he's planning to skip the U.S. Open, which he's won 3 times. So he might, at the end of the day, only be held back from winning the Grand Slam, all-time Grand Slam title because of, whatever. It's your personal decision, I guess, but that could hold you back. If Rafa wins 3 or 4 more, who knows? But at this point, these guys, if we're to assume that Djokovic is as effective as these other guys have been, I know Nadal's not that much older, but if he can be effective until he's 40,
right,
we're talking about, I mean, what would the over-under be on Djokovic Grand Slams remaining? 5.5?
I was going to say another 4 to 6.
Yeah. I mean, is that too aggressive?
Derek, I've said this before. High-level tennis, when you watch tennis at a very high level, is as breathtaking down low as any sport you're going to watch.
Oh, yeah.
It's mesmerizing.
Yeah.
It's fabulous.
Did you ever go when it was in its heyday to the RCAs over
all
here?
The time.
Yeah.
Every year.
Because I went once when it was not in its heyday, but it still had like Roddick and
cool.
James Blake grew up in the town next to mine. He was a Connecticutian, and he came out here for that a couple of times. But I remember hearing about
Rusetsky.
The RCAs used to be the hard court warm up for the Open, right?
Correct. Well, when it was the clay courts, it was a big deal too.
Yeah, but you had it was a who's who. Boris Becker and Sampras and Agassi and everybody that was here for that. And it's too bad. I'd like to see Indy. I think it's tough because, and Rake knows this way better than I do, the Cincinnati event has a lot of history, doesn't it? And is a good event.
Yeah.
So they don't feel the need to
a lot
come
of
to
people go down there.
Indianapolis.
My buddy Marcus goes down there.
Yeah, for an ATP event anymore, I guess.
Are you ready for some quick hits next?
Yeah, we'll do that.
Okay.
We come
All right,
back.
sounds good.
Corey and Schultz, ISC Sports Network. Sorry, you're still on camera, so I didn't know.
Quick hits next.
No, right here.
Okay.
Put this face on. Put
no.
my calves on.
Yeah, no,
ISC
thanks.
Sports Network.
You can set those down.
Look at that.
Hey, I'm Jeff Saturday, and my favorite thing when I was a professional football player was Indiana. The Hoosier State always made me feel like family. That's why I trust Indiana's hometown mortgage lender, Bailey & Wood. This family-owned company not only gives back to the communities they serve, but also with their 5-star customer service, they can close on your dream home in days, not weeks. So remember, Indiana, you can always get your mortgages at a snap with Bailey & Wood.
Hey, Jeff, how does this look? Yay!
Not bad, bud, but let's stick to mortgages.
We're back on Corey and Schultz. Thanks so much to Bailey & Wood Mortgage Lender for presenting this show in the Lou Malnati's Pizzeria studio. Time for quick hits, which we're just go through some of the, I don't want to say like B and C topics because that makes them sound less than, but some of the stuff that we don't dedicate like a full segment to, that just going on in the news, things that interest us. There's usually like an animal-related story that's somewhere in there, and this week is no exception.
July 21st, helping out Lou Malnati's Broad Ripple, 20% of the proceeds going to helping out. What did you say the name of the rescue group was? Pink Hearts, is that right?
Yeah. Let me make sure.
Animal
that I have
rescue
that right.
for visually impaired and deaf dogs,
and Metazoa Brewing, if you want to mention.
And
as
Metazoa
well.
Brewing
yeah,
involved as
because
well.
they're part of it too. To put them in there.
Go to Lou Malnati's on the 21st. Tell them that you would in Broad Ripple with your order. Mention it, and money going over there.
Major League Baseball All-Star rosters have been announced.
Oh boy,
am I wrong here?
I can name two.
Doesn't the All-Star game usually happen this week?
Doesn't
the
Wimbledon
19th
usually
seem
end on the
really
4th?
late for a Major League Baseball All-Star game? I'll admit that I'm like
It's the Midsummer Classic
lately, I guess. Shohei Ohtani has been selected as both a pitcher and a hitter for the AL. William and Wilson Contreras both will start for the NL. How cool is that? Can you imagine being their parents? Yankees and Astros led the way with the most selections. Yankees had 6. Astros had 5. The game at Chavez Ravine, one of the beautiful ballparks still standing, Dodger Stadium, Tuesday, July 19th.
Derek, I asked the question over the course of the weekend that you actually found interesting about baseball.
Oh, I forgot about this.
I was in New York City and asked the question of which would win a 7-game series. A team made up only of players who had played in New York City in their career, or a group of players all for the rest of baseball history.
People weren't getting it. People weren't getting that you meant not just the Yankees and Mets, but the New York Giants, the Brooklyn Dodgers.
I mean, it's
yeah.
That roster, Derek. In other words, if you made 2 lists of players in baseball history, one list is every player who ever played for a New York franchise, and the other list is everybody else. Which one comes up with the best roster?
And I think the New York one has much more of an argument than people think.
Totally.
Yeah.
I mean, Mickey Mantle, Lou Gehrig, Duke Snyder, Pee Wee Reese, Yogi Berra, Willie Mays, Ricky Henderson, Randy Johnson, Pedro Martinez, Tom Seaver, Nolan Ryan, Roger Clemens. I mean, on and on and on.
Yeah. I mean,
Derek Jeter.
You would have like 5 of the 6 or 7 greatest lefties ever. Koufax,
Sandy Koufax,
Randy Johnson,
Jackie Robinson,
Warren Spahn, Tom Glavine. People forget Glavine played 3 years for the Mets at the end of his career. Like, it's crazy. And that's not to mention like DiMaggio, Mantle, Berra, like all those
Babe
guys.
Ruth. We just did all that and didn't even mention Babe
that
Ruth
are in there too. So
Babe Ruth would be your starting pitcher.
The field is. I'm not saying I'd take the New York team, but people were like scoffing at your question, like, oh, like, and it was. I think it was like 80-20 at one point. The poll evened out a little bit, but people just don't understand. They were trying to use Willie Mays on both sides.
The funny thing is the people that were like, that's ridiculous. I'd take the all-time Reds. just for starters, and my ace would be Tom Seaver. And I'm like, but Tom Seaver's on the New York team.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And
Jose Rio was on the New York team.
And no offense to the all-time Reds would get crushed by the all-time New York team.
Right.
Like it's we're talking about like the combination of 4 or 5 franchises to one.
Right.
Even a great one like the Reds,
right.
an historically great one. No, I thought it was – I'm very rarely like – I think I texted you. Like, it dominated my entire weekend. Like, I thought about your question for like 48 hours straight, and I like was like becoming like angry about it and like going back through the mentions and responding to people that didn't tag me. And I never do that anymore.
Derek, that's what I do. I create.
It was good. This was a good creation. Tony Romo wins a 3rd golf championship. How good is this guy? American Century Championship. Beat Mark Mulder. Remember the old A's pitcher and Cardinals. Right, later on. Also had a 5-foot birdie putt on the second hole of a playoff to win. Isn't it just amazing when guys like Romo or Steph Curry
I know. I mean,
can
you're
just
like,
be
good Lord.
like Dave Winfield, like, dude, how does that even happen? I just want to be good at one like my jump shot's soaking wet, but basketball-wise in general, I'm not as great of a player. I just want to be good at like one thing.
Okay.
Besides wiffle ball. Okay. Final quick hit. A long-eared goat has made waves in Pakistan. The kid goat named Simba has extraordinarily long ears. Its owner claims it's a world record that may or may not exist. They've grown to 21 inches. You can watch a video of this goat running around, and the poor thing, it's like trampling its own ears. So the owner actually made a harness for the goat's ears. I don't know if it's like some sort of a genetic flaw or what, but it's got like beagle ears that go straight down. Yeah.
Do your ears hang low? Do they wobble to and fro? Can you tie them in a knot? Can you tie them in a bow? Can you throw them over your shoulder?
Within 30 days, Simba became so popular that a famous...
You know that song, don't you?
Oh, this is from his owner, that a famous personality might take 20 or 30 years to achieve this level of fame. So the owner's selling it hard. Like, he wants it to be a world record.
But they're not good.
He's looking at this as his gravy ticket, Simba.
Simba's hopefully going to enjoy a long, fruitful life.
Yeah, it sounds like it. I mean, because he's going to be like the 9th wonder of the world here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, good for him.
Yeah, good for the goat. Goats can be aggressive, so be careful, owners of Simba.
How do they talk? Right.
You remember Jim Brewer back before he like became a psycho? Used to do Goat Boy.
You know what's
on
next,
Saturday Night
Eric?
Live. Remember the 80s?
Yeah. Okay. Biter Ball Schultz is next.
That's right. We'll wrap up the show when we come back. Corey and Schultz, ISC Sports Network.
Okay.
Hey, I'm Jeff Saturday, and my favorite thing when I was a professional football player was Indiana. The Hoosier State always made me feel like family. That's why I trust Indiana's hometown mortgage lender, Bailey & Wood. This family-owned company not only gives back to the communities they serve, but also with their 5-star customer service, they can close on your dream home in days, not weeks. So remember, Indiana, you can always get your mortgages at a snap with Bailey & Wood.
Hey, Jeff, how does this look? Yay!
Not bad, bud, but let's stick to mortgages.
College wasn't built for me.
I didn't care if I had to work a double shift.
Or if my kid had a fever.
Deadline's a deadline.
I want to set the deadlines.
I want to take tests when I'm ready.
I want to take courses on my time.
And speed up when I know my stuff.
I want a university that cares about me.
Tests on your time, courses on your time, graduate on your time. WGU, the nonprofit university of you.
Oh, am I going to take it again? I've been taking it most of these. I thought just you would just naturally know that you were probably going to take the last one back in.
Why?
Because I've been doing all the heavy lifting today.
Well, you're supposedly all ripped and shredded.
I
You
am.
have wet calves.
I'm not saying that I can't do it. I'm saying that it's Query and
I thought your
Schultz.
tight butt muscles.
So I thought you'd participate in the show. But
Okay.
yeah, you don't want to do any of the ins. You want to shoehorn in being at a boutique hotel in Manhattan with beautiful showers while I was at the Econo Lodge in the Quad Cities a couple of weeks ago.
Is that where you stayed?
But
well,
I guess,
even the Econo Lodge can have beautiful showers. All they got to do is call up Chateau Kitchens, right? Chateau Kitchens makes beautiful showers,
Elite
and hopefully
segues.
when they come out to your house for the showers, it does not involve a naked Derek Schultz with a towel around him stepping out with his furry wet
in
body.
Your dreams. In your
Trust
dreams.
me. Believe you me, we want no
Dreams
part of that.
/ fantasies. In your dreams / fantasies.
Okay,
Look at that. You could only dream.
Come on. This is literally that is the stuff that nightmares are made of. I stayed in a haunted hotel. None of it compared to that.
I can feel the steam like from here. Like you look at that picture and it just gets cloudy in here. Like, oh yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna say that's bull Schultz.
Mm-hmm. Buy it.
Speaking of calves, by the way, I'm so old I can't lift my legs up anymore.
Okay.
My mobility's
That's
struggling.
just sad.
That's not bad.
That's
right?
just sad. Here's what we do with Chateau Kitchens Buy It or Bull Bleep. By the way, chateaukitchens.com, at Chateau Kitchens, Facebook, Instagram,
Fabulous group.
before and after pictures. Unbelievable. They've done amazing, amazing work in my house, and they're going to take care of you as well. I give a statement, Jake and I go back and forth whether we buy it or it's Bull Bleep. Ready? Statement 1.
Okay.
Chet Holmgren will end up being the best player of the 2022 NBA draft. Buy it or Bull Bleep?
I think he's going to be a good player, Derek, but I'm going to say bull Schultz just because I'll take the law of averages. I think part of it's Keegan Murray's going to be in a good situation. I think Benedict Mathurin might be a good player.
I'm talking like 15 years from now.
Yeah, no, Ivy looks like a good player. Jabari Smith. You know what? Okay, then if we're talking totality of career, I will say buy it because I think he is a unique skill set. And there was question about whether or not he was going to be Sean Bradley. Summer League, I realize it, but he looks like he's going to be.
He always had the highest ceiling, I think, of anybody, but also a lot of bust potential that came with that. And just because he was good in Summer League, I'm not trying to say that Chet Holmgren's that's the definitive answer on Chet Holmgren, bust or star. I'm going to say Bull Bleep just because I got to take the field.
Right.
And
I mean, that's what I mean. The
and
law of
everyone
averages.
else looks great. I mean, Ivy looks great too. Everyone else looks really good. Banchero looks good.
He does.
So, we'll kind of see about that. Statement number 2. Cute fellow will make the playoffs next season. Almost 500 now, the Baltimore Orioles.
How about them Baltimore Orioles? Break them up 8 in a row, right? Something like that?
We're taping this on Monday, but 8 in a row.
No. Not going to make the playoffs.
You don't think
Baseball's too up and down.
What they need to do is get out of that division.
That's a problem.
Because you put Baltimore in the Central and they're playing 70-something games against the Guardians and the Tigers and the White Sox, then, I think they can make the playoffs. But it's just tough when you're that franchise and you've got the Yankees staring you in the face and the Red Sox and the Rays with as successful as they've been. It's tough for a franchise like that. It's not easy. It's like being in the SEC and you're, misstate.
No, you're right.
Only really so much that you can do there. I think I was going to put something about the goat, the long-eared goat, as the third one for Buy It or Bull Bleep, and then I forgot about it, and then I didn't put anything for the third one.
Buy It or Bull Schultz. Simba would be an awesome pet.
Question. Do goats have earwax?
I mean,
Like with the really long ears?
You make candles and stuff.
And I know they come out of the ear canal and not like the actual so this might just be like really long earlobes, right? But then again, I had earrings for a long time and I still sometimes I get a discharge from the piercing holes, specifically in my cartilage sometimes. Like I have to clean it and get a Q-tip. It's no big deal, like rubbing alcohol and all of that. But I took out my cartilage ring in like 2003.
Thanks again to Chateau
And I still
Kitchens.
occasionally get like a white discharge that comes out. Sometimes it's yellow.
Okay. Thanks again to Chateau Kitchens for their help with Buy It or Bull Schultz. And I'm sure they're thrilled knowing Derek's waxy discharge to be part of it.
Well, you can't put a Band-Aid up there. You know what I mean? Because it would look weird. So you just take a Q-tip and you clean it up real quick. It's no big deal. Yeah.
Okay, well, we'll let Simba know.
Just a personal grooming thing.
By the way, it's Pakistan.
Oh, did I say it wrong? We'll get that in post. Here, Alan, right now. 3, 2, 1. Pakistan. And pause. And there we go. All right.
Okay.
Put that in.
By the way,
no one knows about any of this.
Which hoagie and hop sandwich is selling better?
Oh, recent update from Christina. She's had trouble keeping up with all of the sales.
Thank you to everybody that's been going there.
As of right now, a edge to the hot query and Schultz style.
No, I don't think so.
Schultz style hot query and Schultz.
Matter of fact, I will read it to you right now. Somebody just sent me Noah sent me a thing.
Oh God. Well, Noah is biased, so I don't know about Noah. Thanks for reminding me about that, by the way.
Hey, Jack, it's Noah. I went to Hoagies and Hops and ordered the hot query and Schultz, but I told him to hold the Schultzy. Tasted great.
Well, did he get a query style? Because it doesn't count for you unless he got a query style.
What's that?
If you just held everything, then it doesn't count for you. Has to have mustard for it to be query style. We'll get another update for you next week. Okay. Alan Hughes, Greg Rakestraw, thank you. Thank you, Jake, I guess. I don't know, you're here. You show up every week. I appreciate that. I'm Derek Schultz. Thanks so much for listening, supporting, writing, tweeting, all of it. More discharge stuff next week on Query and Schultz.